film? And was it anything different than you thought after the game last night?
No, it was pretty much what I thought. There was moments where we executed, there was moments where we played well, and then there was moments where we didn't. And so, this series is a test of discipline, it's a test of mentality, and we got to be extremely detailed in our effort and our consistency.
Joe, you talk about the spacing breaking down. What goes into that? Why does it break down?
It just depends on what our lineups are. We have our double big lineup, we have our small lineup, and you have different spacings depending upon what personnel is in the game. There's spacing in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock, there's spacing in the middle, and then there's spacing at the end when we want to try and get it. So it's just one of those small details that's like extremely important, and you can't take the simple things for granted, no matter the stakes and no matter the importance of the game or the series or the situation that we're in.
How did you like the double big lineup?
It's a good question. Like I said, I thought each lineup presented things that did well. I thought Rob was really good, 6 for 6, got offensive rebounds, really kind of got us going at the same time. We just had to be more consistent regardless of the lineup. And so we've developed an identity this year to play a bunch of different ways. And so we can't just look at it as it's this way versus that way. We have a lot of depth. We have a lot of, what's that word? Diversity? Versatility? Yeah, thanks. And so we just have to be able to use that and flex into that. And then when we go into those different lineups at different times, we got to maintain our spacing and understand what we're doing when each lineup's out there.
Joe, you used Payton for one of the first times in the playoffs. What do you like about him in this series? How did you think those minutes with those 3 guards?
Yeah, I like his shooting. I like his aggressiveness. I like his ability to change the momentum and the energy of the game. I think he brings a level of physicality in our pick and roll defense, which is important in this series. And so I just think he's able to do all those things.
So not losing, playing a good first half, and then slipping in the third quarter, is that mental? Is that something you can teach for the guys not to lose the technique and everything he's taught in the middle of a game? How frustrating is that? How do you change that?
Yeah, I think you just try to focus on building an awareness to how it's going. So, I thought we did a lot of good things in the first half, but we have to have the understanding of, you just can't relax. And so, especially in this series and in this situation that we're in, teams are going to make a run. And so it is a matter of both. It's like when you get into a situation, you're up 10 or 13, can you finish the quarter the right way? We ended the second quarter last night the same way we did game 1 against Philly. We were up 13 points, and they cut it to a substantially smaller lead by the end of it. And so we got to manage the end of quarters really well, and how you start quarters and end quarters are extremely important. And then you also have to know the other team's going to go on a run. And so how do you manage that as a team? How do we work through that? I thought we had some good moments of that in the third quarter where it was 76-75, and we came down in the transition 3, it was 78-76. And then we give up the and one on the offensive rebound. So just knowing what allows teams to hang around, what gives teams momentum throughout games, and how you kind of shut that down as fast as you can.
Last year, Joey, it was almost the same exact scenario where you guys had a tough third quarter in game 1 against Miami and then bounced back and played really, really well. Do you take anything from that, or is it a different year?
I think just the mindset of how you get into those situations, how you get out of those situations, and what the atmosphere presents itself to be able to do. It comes down to how do we stay mentally engaged, how do we stay the ability to discipline, how do we build an awareness and such an importance to the details. Whether you're up 2 or whether you're up 13, the details are important.
Joe, when you said last night about letting go of the rope, is that specifically in the defensive end, the offense, both? What did you see in the third quarter?
I think it's both, right? You got to, letting go of the rope is something, if you don't fight for your spacing every possession, you're letting go of an opportunity to put ourselves in a good position. If you don't pay attention to the tendencies and the details, we let go of the rope. And so it wasn't like we purposely did it. It's just you have to understand the details are the most important thing. And we do a good job of fighting for that through a lot of moments of the game, but you've got to do it for 48 minutes.
You mentioned being engaged and remaining engaged. Why do you think that's been a challenge at times throughout this postseason run?
I don't think it's a challenge in the postseason. I think it's human nature. So how do you be able to get out of that and win that? And just understanding your environment, understanding your opponent. It's hard to do, but what we're trying to do is really, really hard, and so we have to do it.
Joe, uneven focus and energy. I assume you do not question this team's heart and will to win.
I do not. I don't question anything about them because of who they are as people and how strong the locker room is and who they are as players.
You guys only created 29 three-point attempts. What went wrong for you there? Obviously, that's a stat you look at as one of the most important ones for how you guys are playing.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at how we got them. When we get stops and get out and transition, and we're able to get those, that's important. They switch defenses and switched more in the second half, and switching defenses slows you down, and you have to fight for your space, and you got to fight for advantages. You got to fight to create separation, and so, being able to make the adjustment on how we play versus one defense versus our switching defense is important. And so we just have to fight for that, and we can generate those threes by creating separation, by creating advantages.
Joe, you got away from Gary and then good, Gary.
Joe, it's not like the players after halftime say, we're up 9, okay guys, let's relax, chill, they're not going to catch us. Like, what's the signs of slippage that you see, that signs of being relaxed, that when they're not trying?
Like I said, game 1 in Philly, game 1 last night, when you're up 13 in the first quarter, and you give up an and one, or you turn the ball over in transition, or you take a tough shot, or you have a turnover at the rim and they get out. So it happens before you even stop to think that it's happening. And in both games, it's been that way where, we're up 13, we build a good lead, and then with 2 minutes to go in the quarter, we kind of give a team life. And so that's why end of quarters, start of quarters, and just executing is so important.
Last question for Joe.
Joe, Grant has had an up and down role this postseason, but he's had some success in the past against Miami. Why not use him in game 1, and do you have a plan for him moving forward?
I mean, we have a plan to use the depth that we need in order to give us the lineups that we think can really help us. And, obviously in the playoffs when minutes are expanding, you look to play 7 or 8 guys, which we've kind of done throughout. And, I think in the start, I thought Payton gave us an opportunity, with his shooting, with his playmaking, and, his pick and roll defense. And, like we said before, Grant is always going to be ready. And we've built a lot of versatility and depth in our lineup to where we can go a lot of different ways. And, we trust that anybody that we call on will be ready.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Joe.